Hello, Laziali all over the world. Welcome back to Lazio Lounge. Welcome back to Holiday Man, Alasdair McKenzie. He's back. So we have to recap everything that happened in this last 6 years. How long have you been in holidays? I don't remember. So plenty of things to talk about. Rumors, transfer market going on, and other huge updates. Even my dog is happy we're back. But before Alistair, we have to make well, you already made the announcement, but I mean, if you are not lucky enough to follow Alistair McKenzie on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram as well, I mean, he's using Instagram. How modern of a
Big
journalist he
moment.
is. I mean, congratulations, Alistair. You're engaged, right?
Yeah, me and my partner got engaged while we were down in Puglia, and yeah, it was beautiful. It's been really nice. Like you say, I've just finally mentioned it on Twitter today, and I've already had a lot of nice messages from people, including a lot of Lazio Lounge listeners. So thank you very much to all those people, and it's made me a very happy man. So I'm in a great mood. I mean, I still would have loved it if your campaign while I was away to keep me permanently on holiday during the Calcio Mercato. I would have been very, very keen for that. So, if you're still crowdfunding Vittorio, then please keep it going.
So now we're gonna do crowdfunding for your holiday and crowdfunding for your marriage. Everything. I mean,
Yeah,
that's
for the
gonna be
wedding, yeah.
for the wedding. It's gonna be
Sure.
expensive, right? And guys, if you have some money left, well, don't forget the Lazio transfer market because we started strong, but things have been slowing down in the last couple of days. So we are gonna recap everything that happened. So get ready because it's gonna be a long chat this time. We left Alasdair that Muriqi was heading to Belgium, and it didn't go as planned, right? Not a huge surprise for every Lazio fan, but it looks like it was done. Lazio had an agreement. Muriqi was flew to Belgium, to Bruges, to do the medicals, and incredibly so, the Club Bruges said he didn't pass the medicals. Lazio says that simply Club Bruges didn't want to pay the 11 million that they agree. So Muriqi is back in Rome.
Yeah, and I, this is why I always say, like, I never believe anything until you see someone, official announcement or a scarf or whatever. Although this time, I do remember in the last podcast we said, well, he is actually in Belgium, so that was a very promising start to the idea of having actually managed to sell him. But no, it's kind of the worst case scenario now, isn't it? Because he's not only failed to do that move, but he's not gone to Alonso. He's kind of training by himself in Rome, and it seems to be kind of frozen out of the squad. So there's not really, nobody's a winner from this situation as it stands because Lazio haven't managed to make the money they wanted to. Muriqi deserves more, in my mind, than being left by himself. He's not done anything wrong here. I don't know why he's being punished. I think if you're not going to sell him, then at least get him back in the squad while you're waiting to sell him. There's other players. I am sure we'll talk about Francesco Acerbi, but there are other players currently in Alonso being involved in training, being involved with Sarri, who may well be sold before the end of the transfer market. I don't see the sense in not including him in this way. So it's a bit of a shame, but yeah, I think you're right. The attention's now focused more to selling players, hasn't it? Again, which is kind of back to where we started. Muriqi, Johnny, Dormizi.
Well, we sold Vavro, right? So that's an
That's
upgrade.
one.
So at the moment, we have sold Vavro and Adekanye. That's the two official. Casasola went to Perugia. We don't know for how much. So he's the third one. Now Lazio has a little bit something to do, right? Because Acerbi is in Alonso, as you were mentioning, but he didn't play in the last friendly match, and he came in the second half of the second one. So, and the bad thing of today is that he's been booed again by the fans, and Sarri blocked the training and went to talk to the fans and said, "Hey, you cannot go on like that. He's a Lazio player, so stop doing this." But this is not a very good sign, Alistair. We know that Acerbi has been linked with a lot of clubs. Monza made an offer, he refused. Now we are hoping that with the Ligt and Koulibaly leaving, respectively Juventus and Napoli, the transfer market of central defender will start moving. Doesn't look like, but it could happen in the coming days. And we hope that Acerbi will be part of that, right? Maybe Napoli, if they fail to sign Kim, could be looking for Acerbi, and that would be a win-win solution for both Lazio and the player.
It's like a flashback to a year ago, isn't it, when Sarri went over to the fans who had booed Muriqi and told them to shut up, basically, and that he's a Lazio player and they should support him. So I really, I think we've made this pretty clear over the last 6 months or however long it's been going on, longer than that, actually, since December, isn't it? And it's just, you're fighting against yourselves here. I don't understand it. And there's obviously a split in the fan base, because we've seen that in the stadium itself, that when the Ultras or the Curva starts booing Acerbi, the rest of the stadium have often booed them for doing it. So it's not like everyone's in agreement. Hardly the first time that the majority of Lazio fans aren't in agreement with what the Ultras think. But I think it's a shame, because it's a big distraction. I think Acerbi, I don't really understand the argument that because him and Romagnoli are both left-footed, they shouldn't play together. Like, you very often see two right-footed players together play in a back four centre partnership. So I don't really understand why that's different now. I think he could be really useful to have, and the defense would look pretty strong with him in there as well. But what this feels like to me, I don't know if you agree, is one of these transfers that will probably happen quite late on. Because I think when people start to get desperate, or when they realize they've got a hole to fill, the idea of Lotito supposedly having set this price at 5 million, it's not much cash. I think a lot of clubs will have that much cash left over at the end of a market. And if clubs like, you say, Napoli, Juve, whoever, have a hole to fill, and they see an experienced Italy international defender available for 5 million, that might be when they move. I can understand why clubs might not have Acerbi at the top of their list right now, because obviously his age. But that's the way I see this going, is a late market sale, probably.
Yeah, and this brings us back to Romagnoli, because at the beginning, the news was that that's not hot coffee, right? It's so warm in Rome that should be cold, right?
It is. This is how desperate I am for energy. I'm drinking hot drinks.
Anyway, at the beginning, rumors were that Lazio wouldn't sign Romagnoli if they didn't sell before Acerbi, which we all thought was complicated, because Acerbi has a huge salary. He's not young. He's 34. So, probably team would try to sign a younger player. Luckily, Lazio changed the plans, and we signed Romagnoli, who is a huge upgrade for various reasons. But I hope, Alasdair, that now with the league gone, with Koulibaly gone, I think top clubs are looking for central defenders. As you were mentioning, it's difficult to believe that Acerbi is the top priority, but with Bremen, that was the number one of the list, I believe, heading to Juventus. Now even Inter would be looking for a central defender. And to be honest, there are not that many great central defenders available in the market. And Acerbi could be a cheap solution for these big clubs, obviously. I think if Lazio is able to sell Acerbi, 34 years old, for 5 million euros, it would be amazing. It would be a Correa-style sale, right? Unbelievable deal for Lazio. But I think that Napoli is getting desperate, and Inter could be desperate as well. Without forgetting that Juventus, they just sold De Ligt. Chiellini have left. I mean, maybe they would be looking for two central defenders. So that could be a solution, an option, right?
Well, this is a thing. I mean, you say 5 million would be an amazing deal, but what do you get more value from? Taking in 5 million in the market for a player who's 33, or finding a solution where he can stay and he can patch up the issues with the fans and be a part of this team. And he's got another 3 years left on his contract. And you're talking about a very experienced player who can provide not only a lot of quality in defense, a lot of experience in defense, but he can provide a level of leadership and a kind of, voice in the ear and a hand on the shoulder to young guys like Gigli and Cancelier have just arrived. I mean, I still think that the best case scenario, personally, I think, is Acerbi staying. But
coming to get you.
Sorry, you talk. I'm going to close the window.
It was a joke. Unfortunately, there's no police for Alasdair. But the problem, Alasdair, is I don't believe he wants to stay. That's
Yeah,
the
exactly.
biggest problem. Um, and the same thing you were mentioning about experienced player, etc. I don't think he played that role last year. I don't think he had the right mindset to play for Lazio. Rumors
Because of
are that,
this situation, though, no?
I,
That's what I mean. It would depend on the situation somehow repairing itself, and that's a problem, isn't it?
but I thought that Acerbi was acting like that already before everything get worse. And I don't know. You never can trust rumors, but rumors say that Sarri is not happy about him. So we're gonna see. At the same point, we have to be honest, and Acerbi has a huge salary. Keeping on the bench would be quite expensive for Lazio, right? We signed three central defender: Romagnoli, Casale. I know, it's astonishing, and Gila. And we renew the contract of Patrick. We still have Kamenovic, who is a sort of a ghost because he didn't play a single minute so far. I mean, with Acerbi, we could be having five central defender. I think it's maybe too much for us.
Yeah, possibly. I mean, that is a good point. I mean, I guess it kind of depends on where we see Gila. I think Gila is the big unknown here, is we don't really know how ready he's going to be, where he actually fits in Sarri's mind in terms of the hierarchy of this defense. I think he's the bottom of that lot. I think from what we've seen perhaps in training preseason friendlies so far is that Patrick is still at the moment seen as the starting centre back with Romagnoli. Slightly alarming, but Patrick has this effect on coaches, as we know. But yeah, I mean, we've not talked. We've not had a podcast since this happened. I mean, incredible. That's this spree of signings. I mean, it's something else, to be honest. And three of them happened on the day I got engaged. Actually, so it was a great day. Thought maybe I should do it more often. Who knows?
You said it.
Yeah, but incredible spree of everything kind of coming together at once. I think we've spoken about most of these players already. Perhaps a bit less Maximiano, who's come in to be the keeper. We clearly still need a second keeper, and Provedel is supposedly the likeliest one. But how many names have we rattled through this summer already? Do you think if a guy, because I mean, Provedel has been playing in Serie A for a while. You know, he's a good age. He's a talented keeper. Do you think if a guy of that level comes in, is he there to be a number two, or is he there to actually compete properly with Maximiano?
I think he's coming to compete, and the reason why he's pushing to get to Lazio is that one. He knows he have a chance. He knows that Sarri will give him a chance to play. Maximiano is quite young. He looks to be a very good and interesting goalkeeper. Good with his feet as well, which is something important. But he lack of experience. Provedel could be starting if he comes, especially at the beginning of the season. Now the question is, Spezia is asking 6 million euros for the player, who has just 1 year left in the contract, and I think that is far too much. So that's why Lazio is not closing the deal. The player is pushing, and I saw him last year, and I thought he's a good goalkeeper. Nothing special, but he has the right experience. He's coming at the right age. He could be a very good upgrade. And on the other side, we have to say that watching the friendly matches, well, I don't think Sarri trusts Adalbonis because he hardly played in the last two friendly matches. And if you think he can be the number two, then you're going to test him, which Sarri didn't. So I think we are in the market for a second goalkeeper. But I think Maximiano could be a very interesting signing. So that's encouraging. And yeah, I mean, three central defender, two goalkeepers. I don't know. When was last time that this happened to Lazio? I struggle to recall.
And all in good time as well.
One thing, Alasdair, I saw the last friendly match, and Gila was really good. I thought Gila played much better than Casale, which I don't know if it's worrying or encouraging, but Gila looks a very interesting player.
So you managed to get Lazio style working. I've seen you complaining a lot about this recently. Do you want to rant?
I mean that's incredible. So I have a subscription to Sky and a subscription to Lazio channel, and I do it only to see the friendly match in summer. But if you're away and you use Sky Go, so on your iPad, you don't have Lazio channel, which is simply unbelievable, unacceptable. So I paid to not see these things, but I was lucky to find some streaming to watch them, to watch the match. So I was able to make it.
Well, yeah, should we talk about that then? Because I didn't manage to see any more than the highlights, and obviously it's the first kind of in inverted commas big test of the
Yep.
preseason friendly against Triestina. So, what's the team looking like? I mean, I think one of the big talking points so far seems to be that Cancellieri seems to be the Vici Immobile, whether we like it or not.
Yes, and in the first friendly match, he played good. He scored the right movement, etc. In the other two, I thought he struggled, especially against Triestina. He struggled to find space, to shot on target. I think he's got a lot of talent. He's a very talented player. I don't think he's ready for that level. So,
Well,
yeah.
do you think it's maybe because he's not a striker? Crazy opinion here, but
I think Alasdair, he has movement very similar to Ciro Immobile's one. So I can understand why Sarri sees him like a number 9, because he's fast paced, he's good in short spaces, he's quite fast and make the same movement, no going deep like Immobile. But I saw him struggling a little bit on against Triestina and even last Sunday. So if I was the manager, I would ask for a new number 9. But I don't know if Lazio has the money to do it.
yeah, I don't think we don't want to read too much into preseason friendlies. I mean, Man United just beat Liverpool 4-0, so I don't think you want to read too much into what's happening in these games. But at the same time, I think it's more the fact that, to begin with, Cancellieri is a player who's only played about 12 games, I think it was last season, for Verona on the wing. So it's not even like you're getting an experienced winger and you're trying to get him to change his role. You're actually getting a very inexperienced winger and then asking him to change his role. So it's kind of two big things you're asking of a really young player at once. So yeah, preferably another player comes in. But then there's also the potential that Sarri's working with what he's got at the moment. We've mentioned already, Muriqi's not there. So he actually doesn't really have any strikers available to him, other than the idea, again, of using, Anderson or Pedro through the middle. But it might just be a case of Sarri's still waiting for the Vici Immobile to arrive. And in the meantime, he's working with what he's got, because there might be a situation in the coming season where he won't have Immobile or a number 2, and he's going to have to use someone else. So see what they can do.
Well, I think this is the perfect time to test Cancellieri, and that's probably one of the reasons why Muriqi is not there. We already know that Muriqi doesn't work, and without Muriqi, he can test Cancellieri, who is young, talented player. He will become a very interesting player, I believe so. So, if you have time and space, why don't give him the chance to try in this position? I think he can become a number 9. I don't think he's there yet. So that was interesting to see. The other thing interesting in the last friendly, Alasdair, was Isai starting. I thought he played really poorly again, and that's not a good sign. Lazio played against Triestina with Lazzari on one side, Isai on the other, and Romagnoli, who started the first time for Lazio, and Patrick, central defenders. I don't know why Isai started, but he didn't convince me. So there are rumors that Lazio is trying to sign another left back or right back, but I think we have too many players there again. We have Lazzari, we had Marutic, we had Radu, we had Isai. Eventually, we had also Kamenovic. I don't think we can sign another player there if we don't sell someone. So,
I do think Isai was poor last season. He was our flop of the season. Let's not forget. But I don't think it's right for everyone to give up on him at this stage. I do think it's worth sticking with him and giving him another chance, because he is a player who's shown, he's proven all the reasons we said he was a flop in the first place was because he's already proven he can play under Sarri and at Serie A at a very good level. He's not an old player either. He's still in his 20s. So I think it's worth sticking with him. I do genuinely think that. And he's a good option. I think that it's quite an interesting selection. There's no natural left back is still the problem. I think we got a question actually from Carson asking us who the I think he asked us this, did he? About who's going to be the left back. I thought someone asked us who was going to be the left back. Anyway, maybe I'm making that up. But it's probably Marusic on the left and Lazio on the right. Sorry?
Oliver Phil asked. Anyway, who do you think will be our starting left back next season?
Okay, yeah. There you go. But probably Marusic, I imagine. Yeah. I mean, that's where we left off. In my mind, it's still not ideal because he's not left-footed, and I do prefer to have a left-footed player there. But between Marusic and Husai, I think that's what we're going to see again. Maybe Radu every now and then.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I believe Alasdair and Marusic will be the starters, and Radu could be the plan B, which I see it happening. He's been playing a lot, Radu, in those friendly match, which it's nothing huge, but I think it's the plan that Sarri has. So I think this could be the option, right?
What else did you see from these friendlies then that was of interest? I mean, particularly maybe the from the new signings or Marcos Antonio or
Marcos Antonio.
Was there any interesting moves or?
Marcos Antonio looks like a very, very good signing. I was a little bit concerned because he's very small. He's not very tall. And we mentioned this already last year, saying that physically, Lazio midfield is not very strong. We have Milinkovic Savic. We had Leiva, that isn't very tall, physical. Luis Alberto as well. So I thought we needed an upgrade there. Marcos Antonio, I think, is, I don't know, very small, but he's fast. He moves the ball very, very well. And even recovering the ball, he's quite good. Of course, we need more difficult tests to see that. But against Triestina, he was pretty much everywhere. He needs time to adapt to Sarri ball. But really, I was really impressed. And I do believe he's going to be one of the surprises of the season, as well as Toma Basic. Basic, again, great performance. It's not only that he's scoring, because people think, he scored, he's playing well. No, I think he's more into Sarri's mind. He understood what the manager wants. Doing the summer transfer, the training camp that he missed last year was a big help for him. So I think our midfield have upgraded a lot. And we still have to see what happened with Luis Alberto, if he's staying or not. But Marcos, I mean, against Triestina, we saw a massive difference between first and second half. With Marcos Antonio, Lazio was moving the ball much faster. In the second half, with Cataldi, considering that Triestina was playing with the B team in the second half, I see Cataldi struggling a little bit, unable to repeat what Marcos Antonio did. So that's a very good point. And then I think we have to mention Luca Romero. I mean,
yeah,
he's playing really, really well. He's improved a lot. And Sarri is giving time and space, because so far, if I'm not wrong, he played 45 minutes in every single friendly. And I think this is a huge upgrade compared to last year. And this shows you how much Sarri trusts him. While Ramoro didn't play in the last two friendly matches, Luca Romero was there. And I think this could be the breakout season for Romero.
Well, I saw that Adam Marusic did an interview, and that's what he said as well. He's kind of earmarked Romero as being the guy who's going to, have an explosive season because of that. Because he's now got better idea of the football. He's also more settled in. I mean, he's so young. It's amazing really the age we got to that. So that is a really exciting one to keep an eye on.
And the important thing, Alasdair, what the don't remember the name of the physio, if it was Fonte or the other one, said that he put weight, muscle, 7 kilos of muscle. If you see Luca Romero, he's quite small. Obviously, he's 17 years old, but he worked out a lot. And one thing that he needed was to put weight without losing his speed, because he's a very speedy guy. And he improved a lot. He worked out, and you can see the difference. I mean, one of the biggest difference between him and Raul Moro is that Raul Moro give you the impression that he's still not there physically, if you know what I mean. He's a little bit too light, and you can see it in big matches, the big difference. Now, I'm not saying that Luca Romero will be the starter, etc., but I think, especially this season where you're going to play every 3 days till November, till half of November, I think he's going to find space. Europe League, Serie A, I don't know, but he's going to play.
Well, I think the big thing is it's now the as well as getting the signings in, the quantity of signings. There's there's a bit of a debate about quantity versus quality about Lazio's market, I guess, but they've got a lot of players in. They've got them in early at a good time. But I think the other thing that's huge as well is that they're all young. The oldest one of the lot of them is Romagnoli, who's 26, is he 27, something like that. And the average age of the squad has just plummeted with these guys coming in. And now what we are actually seeing, which we've not seen for ages, I can't remember when we've last had a situation like this, is that we've got a squad where it's a mix of experience and youth, but also you can see a kind of progression of where the future is, because you've got Pedro, who's not going to be there forever. But then, like you say, you've got Romero behind him. Immobile is not going to be there forever, but now Cancelier is another option there. Acerbi's not going to be there forever, but you've got Casale or you've got Gila. And Marcos Antonio is a player who can be in that midfield for years and years. So it's really nice to see that the club has not only got so many players in, but they've managed to finally rejuvenate this team, which has been something within desperate need.
And in fact, this is something that I don't agree. I don't know if you think like me. A lot of people are complaining, we didn't do great signing, etc. I mean, we moved from Lucas Leiva, that is 35, to Marcos Antonio, that is 22. We moved from Strakosha, that is 27, and was one of the youngster in the roster, to Maximiano, who's 22. We moved from Acerbi, that is still there, but don't think he's going to stay long there, 34, to Romagnoli, that's 28. And then we signed Casale, 24. We signed Gila, 20. Cancellieri, 20. I mean, that's huge. That's really huge for a team old as Lazio. And the other important thing is the salary, because let's not forget that Leiva, for example, was around 2.5 million euros net salary. Marcos Antonio is like 1.2. Cancellieri is less than 1. Maximiano is 1.2. We had huge salary, and now we reduce it because we went and signed youngster who obviously at the beginning of the season of the career hasn't got huge salary, which is another benefit for Lazio.
Saving it all up to give Sergei a 6-year contract on 6 million a year.
Yeah.
I mean, definitely, exactly. It's brilliant. It's brilliant that they've done that. I think, I guess the other side of that, and the part of this debate that you're seeing people have, is more around the unknown, isn't it? And you're not going to get. We're not going to get an answer to that until the season's underway. The proof will be in the pudding. When it comes to these players, when it comes to Casale, Cancellieri, Antonio, so on, like there is a lot of unknowns, because a lot of these guys either have very little experience or have come from different leagues and so on. And so we'll just have to wait and see. There's no answer to that yet. There's no answer to how good a mercato this has been in terms of raising the quality of this squad. But there's certainly, I would still argue, it's been a very good mercato for Lazio for all the reasons we've just laid out, for the fact that they managed to strengthen positions of weakness and bring down the age of the squad. And like you say, the bring the salaries perhaps more under control as well. So I think it's been a big success so far. The question now is what more is needed? We've talked about attention being turned to sales. Muriqi, Dormizi, Johnny, this lot. Second keeper still needed. Vice Immobile still needed, probably. There's been a lot of talk about another midfielder still coming in, Vecino, Ilic, all this stuff, Alberto's future under. So it's amazing that so much has already happened, yet it seems like a lot more could still happen.
Yeah, because one thing we didn't mention is that Akpa Pro hardly played in those 3 friendly matches. And it's weird how fast things change. I mean, Akpa started in the first match of last season against Empoli, and he was considered one of the options. And now in the second half of the season, he hardly played last year. And I think it's not going to change. Akpa hasn't played in the last 2 friendly match. In the last one against Triestina, he wasn't fit. But the fact that in the one of last Sunday, Keane played instead of Akpa, I think is a signal. And I do believe if Lazio has the money, maybe we should try and sign another central defender to give more option to Sarri, because now at the moment we have a good midfielder. We have Marcos Antonio, Milinkovic Savic, and Luis Alberto. On the bench we have Basic, that has improved a lot. We have Cataldi, that's shown that he can start. But close to them we have Akpa, who I think is not the level of the other 2. So we need another player there, probably. If we sell Luis Alberto, though, we are going to be in the same situation, right? Because if Luis Alberto leaves and we sign Ilic, then we're still going to be missing another central defender. So I don't know. I think we need someone there, but I don't know if you're going to be able to get there.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see. I think Sarri's going to talk tonight, isn't he? He's doing there's going to be some sort of squad presentation or something. So it'll be interesting to see what he's got to say. I'm sure he'll be asked about this a little bit. But I mean, I think we've not actually really spoken about Romagnoli much yet. I think that's probably a good place to finish. I mean, we waited a long time for this. I think we both had our doubts that this was ever going to happen. But I mean, it does feel great, to be honest. I think there's something different about a signing where they've got a connection to the club, and the fans see the player as one of them, and there's that history, and it's a homecoming for him. And he's spoken about this already. There's an interview with Romagnoli. I don't know if you want to talk about that, but do you want to explain? I think Carsten, I remember he did ask as a question, and this was it, wasn't he? He wanted to explain a little bit about Romagnoli's connection to Lazio's background. So why don't you do that?
Well, he did a nice interview yesterday, and I think the full interview will come out today. And he's basically said he always been a Lazio fan. His dad was bringing him to the stadium. His grandmother was a huge Lazio fan. And he always went to the stadium. He missed the day of the Scudetto because he didn't find the ticket. But he always been a Lazio fan, even though he grown up in the Roma Academy. So that was a little bit hard for him. That's why he went to AC Milan. He thought he could be free there to show his affection. And he always said that, and this is funny because he said every time I was playing against Lazio and the Lazio anthem was played, I would bury my sweater in front of my face and chant the Lazio anthem. So now I'm free to do it. And it's funny because he said that all summer long, Ciro Immobile, Danilo Cataldi call him every day.
Yeah.
Hey, come on, come to Lazio. And he said that was really nice to see players pushing for me. And yeah, he said this is my dream come true. As a kid, he said my dream wasn't to play in Serie A. My dream was to play for Lazio. So I think this is going to be huge. I think he's going to play with a different attitude compared to the other players. And I mean, I would love to have more Laziali in the squad, honestly.
But I mean, it's also like, I think he's very quickly going to become one of the kind of bandiere of the team, right? And now we've already got Immobile, who's definitely won. Sergei has definitely won. Cataldi as well, I guess, as like as a boyhood Lazialian. And it's nice because it feels like there's that kind of like Lazio identity streak throughout the team now. Obviously, Radu as well has been there forever, and then there's kind of newer kind of favorites like, well, I guess like Milinkovic Savic, but also you could say Patrick. Here, like throughout the team, and it feels like there's a real strong Lazio identity to this team now, and also it's they've Italianized this team in a way that it's not been for quite a while. But like a good level of Italian players, young Italian players, and that's quite exciting to people as well. Like having the homegrown element to it. So yeah, Romagnoli, I think is cool. Being given the 13 shirt, Nesta's old shirt. No pressure, mate. So
Absolutely. Absolutely.
But there was a picture someone put up of him with Nesta, and I was like, oh god, let's stop making these comparisons because it's probably not going to help him.
No. And I mean, I'm happy you mentioned it, because from my point of view, it could have been a little bit racist. But the fact that there are more Italian players in the squad, I think it's going to be a massive boost. And at the same time, Alasdair, does this prove that Iglitare is losing power? I mean, Iglitare was used to go and collect players from Albania or third Belgium league and things like that. While this year, I mean, we signed a player from Real Madrid. We got players from big club and a lot of Italian clubs. Do you think this is the sign that Tare is losing power, or it's just coincidence?
Well, if Immobile was the one who signed Romagnoli, then perhaps, I don't know, by making all the phone calls. I don't know. I think this market. Well, first of all, I mean, look, it's in my mind, in every country, people like to see homegrown players coming through because it's good for the development of the league and the national team in the country, and all that is built into that. So, yeah, I think when it comes to Tari, it's an interesting summer for him because it's been a success really so far, and he really needed it to be a success. I don't know what more needs to happen, but it's probably taking the pressure off him a bit. But it still seems like the situation is pretty strained from what you read. How much of that is true and isn't true is up for debate, because there was the fight at the shirt presentation, and then the denial of the fight from the club and all this. So it's impossible to ever really tell what's going on. But it does feel like it's been a better transfer market from him so far than Lazio have had for ages.
I mean, nobody can say you're wrong about that. I mean, in the last 5 years, this is definitely the best, not only for the signing, but even as fast as Lazio did the signing, right? Because first week of Oronzo, pretty much all those new signings were there. And let's not forget that Gila starting the medicals and then was positive. And so he had to stop for 4 or 5 days. Otherwise, he would have been there even earlier. So as you mentioned, we still need to sign another couple of players, but we are nearly close to the perfection, right? So it's really encouraging.
Yeah, good stuff so far. What's coming up? A couple more friendlies. Well, I can't remember where we're playing. Venezia.
We have to get rid of a couple of players as well, Alasdair. I think it's Muriqi, Durmisi, Johnny. We have too many. I was looking last week, if I'm not wrong. Lazio is paying something like 70 million euros in salary of players that are not in the squad. That's a lot of money for Lazio. A lot of money. You can sign anything with that money, right?
Yeah, and it's been this problem for years. So, yeah, I think it's almost as important as actually bringing in players as if a mark of a successful mercato is the ability to actually offload these guys and stop this from happening again, because there's been this backlog for years and years. If a signing doesn't work out with Lazio, there are few worse clubs in Italy, if not beyond, that at dealing with a bad signing. Bad signings happen everywhere, but Lazio somehow managed to fail to find buyers, freeze them out of the squad, leave them on loans, terrible loans that don't work out for years and years, and it's been happening for a long time. So yeah, hopefully that resolves itself soon. And it's crazy to think, but the season is about 3 weeks away. So yeah.
I mean, it's gonna be so hot the first day, 14th of August. Lazio Bologna. I mean, people's gonna melt in the stadium.
Yeah, I'll be one of them. Looking forward to that.
Yeah.
I've been melting all summer, so I don't know. I don't know how much of me there will be left by then. But
yeah, I can imagine. Do we have to touch other topics, or we're good to go?
As far as I can think of, I think we've pretty much done it for this time. So yeah.
Well, we had a lot of things to talk about because a lot of things happen during your holiday. But again, thanks everybody for joining us. Remember, we are on Spotify, Spreaker, iTunes, YouTube. Whenever you listen to podcasts, we are there. So rate and subscribe us. If you want to support our channel, go to patreon.com/Lazio Lounge. Membership starts at $2 a month. And yeah, thanks for your support, and we'll be back as soon as possible. Goodbye, everybody.